The average American consumes roughly 57 pounds of added sugar every single year. Not from fruit. Not from vegetables. From processed, engineered, deliberately designed junk food products that your brain has been chemically trained to want more of. And the most disturbing part is not the number itself. It is the fact that the people who made those products knew exactly what they were doing when they designed them to be that way. Welcome to Flavor Vault. In the next 10 minutes, you are going to discover why your brain lights up like a pinball machine every time you open a bag of chips, what food scientists actually mean when they use the phrase bliss point, and how billion-dollar companies have spent decades reverse engineering your neurochemistry to make sure you never feel truly satisfied. We will also get into the one finding from neuroscience that completely reframes how we think about willpower and junk food, because it turns out the fight was never fair to begin with. Let us start with a little history, because this story does not begin in a laboratory. It begins on a battlefield. During World War II, the United States military invested heavily in food science. They needed rations that soldiers would actually eat under extreme stress. They needed food that was calorie-dense, shelf-stable, and most importantly, palatable enough that exhausted, traumatized men would actually consume it. The research they funded quietly built the foundation for what would become the modern processed food industry. After the war ended, the scientists did not go home. They went to work for food companies. And they brought their government-funded knowledge of human appetite with them. By the 1950s and 1960s, companies like General Foods and Kraft were already experimenting with what combinations of salt, fat, and sugar would drive maximum consumption. They were not just making food taste good. They were studying the neurological and psychological triggers that made people want to keep eating even after they were full. This is a crucial distinction. Good flavor satisfies. Engineered flavor compels. Those are two fundamentally different outcomes, and the entire processed food industry built its business model around the second one. Now here is where the science gets genuinely fascinating. Your brain has a reward system called the mesolimbic pathway. When you do something that helps you survive, eating, for example, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine does not actually make you feel pleasure in the traditional sense. What dopamine does is create anticipation. It drives you toward the thing, not reward you for having it. This is why you think about a cheeseburger all afternoon and then feel a little flat after you actually eat it. The wanting was always more powerful than the having. Junk food is specifically engineered to exploit this gap permanently, to keep the wanting going indefinitely without the satisfaction ever catching up. The mechanism behind this is something researchers call the bliss point. This term was coined by a psychophysicist named Howard Moskowitz, who spent decades working as a consultant for major food corporations. His job was to find the precise combination of sweetness, saltiness, and fat content that produced the highest possible pleasure response in human test subjects. Not too sweet, not too salty, not too fatty, but exactly calibrated to hit a neurological sweet spot where you feel compelled to keep eating. Prego hired him to redesign their pasta sauce. Campbell's used his methodology across their entire product line. His work quietly restructured the American palate and the American waistline at the same time. But here is what nobody talks about. The bliss point is not static. It shifts. Every time you eat a highly engineered food, your baseline shifts upward slightly. The more processed food you eat, the less sensitive your brain becomes to its reward signals. This is identical to what happens with substance addiction. The technical term is reward desensitization, and it means that over time, you need more stimulation to get the same response. This is why people who regularly eat fast food often find that simple whole foods taste bland or unsatisfying. Their dopamine system has been recalibrated by constant overstimulation. The food industry, consciously or not, created a product that erodes your ability to enjoy anything else. So if your dopamine system is part of the story, your hormones are the other half. Two hormones in particular govern hunger and satiety in the human body. Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. It rises when your stomach is empty and signals your brain that it is time to eat. Leptin is the satiety hormone. It is produced by fat cells and tells your brain that you have enough energy stored and you can stop eating. Under normal circumstances, these two hormones work in elegant balance. Junk food disrupts both of them simultaneously. Here is how. Ultra-processed foods are designed to be calorie-dense but nutritionally sparse. They digest rapidly, which means your stomach empties quickly, which means ghrelin spikes again fast. Meanwhile, the high-fructose corn syrup found in most processed snack foods and beverages actively interferes with leptin signaling. Your fat cells are still producing leptin, but your brain stops receiving the message properly. So you are full in terms of calories consumed, but your brain is still getting hunger signals because the hormonal feedback loop has been broken. You are not overeating because you lack willpower. You are overeating because the chemical communication system in your own body has been jammed. There is also the question of texture and what researchers call vanishing caloric density. This is the phenomenon you experience with foods like cheese puffs or certain potato chips. They dissolve almost instantly in your mouth, which means your brain never fully registers the calories as real food. Studies from the University of Sussex showed that foods which require more chewing time trigger earlier satiety signals than foods which dissolve quickly. Processed foods are specifically engineered to chew fast and dissolve faster, bypassing the mechanical satiety signals your jaw and digestive system would otherwise send. Think about how many calories you can consume in 12 seconds eating a bag of crisps versus how long it would take you to eat the caloric equivalent in chicken breast or broccoli. The numbers are not even close. And every second of difference represents a satiety signal that was engineered out of the product. Now let us talk about what this means in the real world, because understanding the science is one thing and living inside a food environment designed around it is another. The United States food industry spends approximately $14 billion per year on advertising. The majority of those advertising dollars are spent marketing processed food directly to children. By age 8, the average American child has already developed strong brand loyalty to specific junk food products. That loyalty was not accidental. It was cultivated through decades of strategic exposure during the period of brain development when reward associations are formed most powerfully and last the longest. This is why willpower-based approaches to eating better have such a poor long-term success rate. You are not fighting your lack of discipline. You are fighting an industry with $14 billion in annual marketing budget, 50 years of neurological research, and products literally engineered to override your satiety signals. Framing overeating as a personal failure is not just inaccurate, it is the exact narrative the industry prefers, because it keeps the conversation away from the product design and focused on the individual consumer instead. The most hopeful finding in recent research is also the most counterintuitive one. Studies published in journals including Cell Metabolism have shown that the brain's reward pathways retain significant plasticity even in adulthood. When people significantly reduce their ultra-processed food intake for as little as 4 to 6 weeks, their dopamine sensitivity begins to recover. Foods that previously felt bland and unsatisfying start to taste more complex and rewarding again. The recalibration is real and it happens faster than most people expect. The trap has an exit. It just requires knowing it was a trap first. The science of junk food cravings is not a story about weakness. It is a story about engineering. It is about decades of deliberate, well-funded research into human neurochemistry deployed for commercial purposes. Your brain was not built to resist it. Before you go, if you learned something valuable today, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Flavor Vault for a brand new video every single day. We will see you in the next one.